And we are on. Okay, welcome to Snafu Radio. Today is going to be a really good day. We're going to talk about something that a lot of people really want to know and haven't been able to get this kind of information. So be sure and like the channel, smash that like button, help makes these videos go viral so more people can get the information. Now, what we're going to talk about is the legal definition between marijuana and weed. And as we've been discussing throughout these videos, the importance of words. So by now, you should have a really good idea of how liberty uh, means your ability for locomotion, which includes travel. And that's they can't tax or fine or license or anything for that. That is your life, liberty, pursuit of happiness. These words all mean things. And when they write all this stuff in all this case law, it explains it and lays it out, and it is there for you to use and find if you know how to use it. That's why when I read the seven deals yesterday, it was basically just a ton of case law, but it was all put together in a format so you can see how these judges were basically usurping your right to due process. And a lot of things, you just have to go listen to that if you want to hear that, because it's about an hour and 45 minutes long. But about today, marijuana versus weed. So with that, I just want to go ahead and bring Jay on in. And so let's do some clarification on just that topic right there. So Jay, how you doing? Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Scott. Yeah, I want to clarify a few things. Here in Texas, specifically, here in Texas, we have a health and safety code, and in section 481 of the health and safety code, they have a little section called definitions. And in the definitions, they have marijuana listed. Okay. And they have a definition for marijuana. So marijuana is included in this section of the Texas code. The health and safety code. I'd like to point out that the people that are under the health and safety code are licensed by the state of Texas in the in the healthcare industry. That'd be pharmacists, doctors, nurses, anybody that handles medicines or, well, your viewpoint, drugs, legal drugs, illegal drugs, they're drugs. And these people have a license to push those drugs. The government gave them. They can sit there and shoot you full of morphine to ease your pain and then cut you off dry. And now you're addicted. Morphine is heroin. It's just the legal name for it. Okay? Heroin is the street name. It's got a bunch of other nicknames, but that's it. You're hooked by the medical professionals and then cut off to fund the drug trade on the streets, which I can't prove, but I suspect they have their fingers in it too. So, why not make money off of both sides? But an interesting thing that people need to understand is in law, if something is included, like the commercial name marijuana, and that's manufactured for a reason, if it's included in the bill, then everything else pertinent to that, let's say an identical genus, but yet not considered marijuana because there is a mutation. It's a different branch of the same plant family. Like peyote and San Pedro cactus, they're exactly the same thing. Peyote's illegal, and you can have San Pedro cactus growing in your yard, and They make the buttons, and they're full of mescaline, and you just cut the button when you want it, chew on it, and go see the galaxies. But it's completely legal because it's not included. That is included in the statute excludes everything else. Now, marijuana, the definition of marijuana in the Texas Code is cannabis sativa L. L for Linnaeus. There is a different cannabis sativa, and it's grown in Thailand, and it's not the same. Okay, so if cannabis sativa is marijuana, and that's the state's lawful, legal definition of marijuana, cannabis sativa. Cannabis sativa is commercial hemp. It doesn't have much of a buzz. It doesn't have much THC. It has a lot of CBDs and CBNs to make the oil is good for you. It'll heal things. But then all the code is written to protect that particular plant because it has medical and it has commercial processes which they don't want anymore or didn't want anymore. They wanted the oil business, they wanted synthetics, they wanted paper mills to cut down the trees. Hemp will take care of all that. Fuel, oils, plastics, hemp can do all that petroleum will do. Exactly the same. Okay, so now we have a traffic stop, or we have just an accosting on the street, and they find you a little baggie of, they're going to call it marijuana, a green leafy substance. When they charge you with the crime of marijuana, it's not in the criminal code.
Well, let's be clear that everybody is smoking. They're not smoking sativa; they're smoking indica, and so just about and all the people that grow weed. I was out in California, and so the difference is indica and sativa. So isn't that correct?
Yes, but you jumped a little bit ahead. Now, okay. I'm explaining what they're doing to you when they charge you with X amount of marijuana.
Okay.
Their definition of marijuana is a green leafy substance. And the courts will go along with it, and you get hammered for the wrong definition, just like firearms. That's another one we'll get into at some future date. But everybody thinks what you have on you is a firearm, you foolish people. Nonetheless, they charged you with that, and they get by with it because, well, I'm sorry to say, you never counterclaimed the fact that marijuana, according to their definition, is cannabis sativa L. And if you mention the fact that it is in the code, so you know that you have no right to purchase that or use it, and if you smoke it, you'll know why. But there's an identical genus, just like I said, peyote, and just like the San Pedro cactus, identical, except there's a molecular change in there. Now you'll end up finding out how important that Fourth Amendment warrant is in a moment. You specifically purchased weed, cannabis indica. Why? Because it is excluded from the code and therefore perfectly legal by the code itself and the rules of law. Okay, the importance of that is in a traffic stop, or them busting into your house and finding all over the place. If they had a warrant, they had a warrant for marijuana. Marijuana is cannabis sativa L. You have purchased cannabis indica. In a Fourth Amendment warrant, they have to know exactly what it is that they're looking for and where it is and who has it. Full descriptions, no fishing trips. They came for one thing only, and it's here at this location. And they have the right to find it. Okay. What they find is cannabis indica. The warrant, that's weed, folks. The warrant is for marijuana, cannabis sativa L. The funny thing is, although they may look similar in physical appearance, genetically, they're much different. And to find the difference, it must be found in a laboratory. But they can't find it in a laboratory because they have to have the Fourth Amendment warrant to get it from you. They have to know everything about it. They have filed a false claim against you for a completely legal substance, claiming it's something else. I don't know about you, but I find that upsetting because everybody's trying to legalize marijuana. Foolish. Weed is already legal, and they can't do anything about it because they didn't create the name. They created marijuana so they could regulate it. It's their deal. It's all hemp, different varieties of hemp, but the plant genus is cannabis, hemp, all of it, the good stuff and the useful stuff. So with that little trickery in words, the drug laws are not what they told you they were. They're merely a way to harvest your time, your labor, and your money for their convenience by charging you falsely. And I think that's a shame. And they have to know. That's the importance of the Fourth Amendment. They have to know all that stuff to have the warrant issued, and they can't know it until it's that particular sample is in the laboratory and they do the test, and then it's not cannabis sativa. But by the time you're already plea bargained, and you're either going to do some time or pay them a lot of money for nothing. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
Right. Well, and that's pretty much like the catch-22, where just the wordplay on a few things has everybody thinking that they're being charged for marijuana when really they just have weed. And if they only knew that it was indica that was excluded from the code, then they would have a better clarification. But this is where it gets back into these lawyers and judges and everything just using the system against everybody and beating everybody over the head because you don't know these facts and what the law states as written today. They don't want you to know that, because if you knew that, listen, a population that's aware and has knowledge is dangerous to these people. Y'all getting this type of information, making you knowledgeable and aware, makes you a very dangerous person to these people, because now you can use critical thinking skills and apply it in ways that they don't. They have one way, and it's not a good system for them.
Well, the last few days you've been, since that little ditty on traffic court, you have been on a tear of letting people know what they think they know as true really ain't. You've peeled back the onions of how the government really worked. You've peeled back the actual authority of the judicial department, bill collectors. I mean, now, and those are money makers for them. I mean, lots of money. You have no concept. And now, you peel back the onion on the traffic. So it's not quite as big a deal for us as it used to be, but it's going to have quite an effect on their revenues. Now you take off the drugs, and I mean all of them. We were just discussing the one how to do Texas marijuana, but then all the rest of the drugs in the schedules, the health the licensed professional health care providers are regulated with. But that has nothing to do with us. That's them. I mean, you have a pharmacist license, Scott?
Oh, heck no. I
Well,
don't have
how
an
about,
airplane license neither.
well, well, you're not flying right now, are you?
Uh-uh.
No problem. But should you want to fly, you're going to either have to get medical marijuana or break the law. So I suggest if you're going to go fly without a pilot's license, buy some weed. It's legal.
Yeah, well, I'm not going to be flying any planes. Besides, that is something that is regulated. So, uh, and there's probably something to that too. I bet you if somebody was to drill down into it, of course, it's for commercial aviation, hence the name commercial. It all goes back to that. But
Yeah.
as far as drilling down into the weed versus marijuana, I mean, yeah, weed versus marijuana. Um, what would be, I guess, some of the things that if when people get pulled over, what would you want to tell them? Tell a cop, say, no, this ain't weed, this ain't marijuana, this is weed. I mean, you can
Yeah.
tell them whatever you want. They're still probably either going to ticket you or give you a trip to jail, but you might as
Well,
well give them a little something to think about.
they're going to do what they're programmed to do.
Hmm.
You know what that is. They've been doing this for how long? Can't do it to you. What's your problem? Well, the problem is they're going to take you to, with weed. You can figure you're going to spend one night in jail for sure. For sure. Bond out. And then when they mail you the charges, I mean, you're bonded out. You can function. You can use your computer. You can talk to people. You can print out what you find out. But the one thing you want to do is counterclaim. You know, they're charging you with a green leafy substance. That's parsley to me. Well, as far as I know, parsley is not illegal. I know this isn't cannabis sativa that's in my possession because I specifically told those people cannabis indica because it's legal. If you sell me cannabis in sativa, I'm turning you in because you broke the code. I don't know why, but it scares them. So you buy cannabis indica, excluded from the code, therefore legal. And if they've stopped you without that Fourth Amendment warrant and they've charged you maliciously, you got a big lawsuit against the city, the county, who and the cops, everybody actually, because they can't give you due process on something that doesn't exist.
Well, there you go. And so everybody just really needs to start taking it back to the cops and challenging them and complaining and going and filing lawsuits.
And
And when,
in the complaint, I would state specifically, I specifically requested cannabis indica because I know, according to the Health and Safety Code, Chapter 481, definitions, marijuana, cannabis sativa L. I can't be messing with that. So I specifically ordered cannabis indica because it is not in the code and therefore legal. Though that statement should be in your counterclaim because it's true.
well, there you go. And this is just more case law that you people can use. And once you start making your counterclaims, putting together your stories, and it's really simple because it's just a timeline. A timeline is just a statement of facts, no emotion, just straight facts. He did this, he did that, you did this, you did that. This happened then on this date. This is what occurred that day, blah, blah, blah. You just put it in there, cite you some case law when you need to reference it. And this is what these videos are for. You don't have to believe us. Go look up the case law yourself. Just Google it.
Please,
Yeah.
please do that. If you find that we are wrong, please tell us. But cite where you got the information, because I want to read it too. I mean, I'm not perfect. I don't have any nail holes anywhere. So if I make a mistake, I'm more allergic to mistakes uncorrected than I am to corrected mistakes. The ego gets bruised, but it heals real quick with good information.
And, you know, and speaking of words and mistakes, let's just clarify mistake and error for people, just to show y'all that words matter, because you don't want to say that you made an error. Oh, I was listening to a video this morning where an appellate judge just overturned a case about a lawsuit on a shitload of these crooked ass bankers. This is all current, just today. The appellate judge ruled that the lower court judge erred, and he brought the lawsuits back against the banks.
Erred.
Now that means the judge is openly liable for a criminal action. Isn't that correct?
Oh, absolutely. If he had made a mistake, well, things back to square one. Let's continue. But the appeals court said he erred, which means that it's unforgivable. And he's up for whatever. If the prosecution or the defense wants, his career is over.
Well, because the reason this is important and the significance is between errors and omissions and a mistake, people have errors and omissions insurance. Life insurance, doctors, lawyers, judges, they all have E&O insurance. That's why it is considered a crime to have erred, because you are supposed to have known better.
Yeah, you're deemed to know the law is what it is for them. They're deemed to know it.
Right.
Just
Well, they hold
just
up,
like you are.
Well, yeah, because I'm a licensed health insurance agent, so I am deemed to know that, or that's even though you have E&O insurance, you were deemed to know that, so you could be held liable and accountable, especially if it was a fatal occurrence. I guess I don't see how that could do
an injury, a judicial caused injury, damage.
Right. So, but yeah, that's the difference. And so that's why we're letting y'all know about these words and everything, and to be aware. So once y'all are aware, no excuses.
Yeah. And we want y'all to be alert too, because America needs more alerts.
Well, then I think everybody got a pretty good indoctrination on the marijuana, and the difference between the words and what to really look out for, how to address it. If you need any references, you can go back to other videos. I don't know. Sounds like covered it pretty good there.
No. We just covered Texas.
Oh, we got to go to the federal now.
Let's not get our skivvies tied in a knot. We're not in a hurry. These people are going to be bored to death by the time I'm done. Okay, now we've taken care of Texas and the marijuana problem, but we still have all these other scheduled 1, 2, 3, and 4 drugs. That's federal. So, the state being a political subdivision or a satellite corporation of the federal corporation, they have to follow their master's edicts. So you have the Federal Substance Abuse Act in Title 21, United States Code, Section 841. And it is the rate schedules and tables of all the allegedly illicit drugs that there are. For now, that statement stands true. However, in a few minutes, and as confusing as all this stuff is, and I've had this information for years now, and I have a good memory, but I cannot commit all this happened and that happened and this act and this public law did this to that part of this public law that wasn't even public law yet completely. It hadn't been whatever, and nonetheless, by the time they're done, it's a giant mess, but I can't remember the laws. So I have it here written down, and you people, well, I have it printed out. And this is taken directly from the case that it was in New York, and it'll be referenced later on. The end result was the case was dismissed, and the revealing facts are awesome. So when the feds come knocking at your door because you have a little baggie of weed, and you live in Colorado or California, and it's legal, state legal, and the feds come and rock your boat, here's a little information for you. I hope you can hang through it because it is confusing till the end. Title 21, United States Code, Section 841, as printed in the original 1970 edition, reads, Section 841, Prohibited Acts, A, Unlawful Acts, subtitle A, except as authorized by this subchapter, it shall be unlawful for any person knowingly or intentionally to manufacture, Section 1, A1, remember A1, to manufacture, distribute, or dispense or possess with intent to manufacture, distribute, or dispense a controlled substance, or to create, distribute, or dispense, or possess with intent to distribute or dispense a counterfeit substance. See 1970 edition of Statute, Exhibit 2. Congress enacted the Comprehensive Crime Control Act in 1984 through its enactment of Public Law 98-473 and introduced a number of changes into the administration of federal criminal justice. Okay. Effective date and savings provision of 1984 amendments. Amendment by Public Law 98-43, Section 224A, effective on the first day of calendar month beginning 36 months after the October 12th, 1984, applicable only to offenses committed after taking effect of Sections 211 to 239 of Public Law 98-473, and except as otherwise provided for herein, see Section 235 of Public Law 98-473. As amended, set out as a note under Section 3551 of Title 18, Crimes and Criminal Procedure. Special parole was abolished on October the 27th, 1986, when Congress passed a law deleting the term special parole whenever it appeared and substituting the words supervised release. Sections 224A, 1, Section 2, 3, and 5 of the 1984 Act were repealed on the same day so they never went into effect. See Public Law 99-570, Title 1, Section 1004A and 1005A, 1986 U.S. Congress and Administrative News, 100 Stat 3207-6, copied from the United States of America versus Peter Ford, cite as 1991 WL 150526, Southern District, New York. See Exhibit 3. Effective and applicability provisions of repeal section 224A1, 2, 3, and 5 of Public Law 98-473, cited to credit, was repealed by section 1005A2 of Public Law 99-570, which provisions of section 224A of Public Law 98-473, which are to take effect November the 1st, 1987, as a result of repeal, were never executed to text of section. On the page. The conclusion from the legislative history as printed by Westlaw, the defendant has reported and shown to this honorable court that 1. The unlawful acts section of Title 21 United States Code, section 841A1 and 2, were enacted into law by Congress with the enactment of Public Law 91-513. 2. The unlawful acts section of Title 21 U.S. Code, section 841A1 and 2, were saved by Congress with the enactment of the savings provision of Public Law 98-473. 3. That prior to taking effect on November the 1st, 1987, the savings provision, a part of section 224A of Public Law 98-473, was repealed by section 1005A2 of Public Law 99-570. And as a result of the repeal, the savings provision was never executed to the text of section. That the study of the printed legislative history of Title 21 United States Code, section 841, discloses that Westlaw printers know that Title 21 United States Code, section 841, does not contain the unlawful acts section as printed. Turn the page.
So right there, Westlaw has omitted what Congress has passed and enacted to repeal drug laws. Is that correct?
We'll rehash that in just a moment.
Sure.
Part 5.
Yeah.
Further.
Did you order any water?
Yeah.
Okay. We got it here.
Good. Tell them to come around the side.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Further, that a study of the printed legislative history of Title 24 United States Code, section 841, discloses that Congress has reenacted section 1004A, authorizing supervised release, that was repealed. See United States versus Ford, Supra, and since its repeal on October 27, 1986, Congress has not reenacted the repealed unlawful acts section of 1005A2 of Public Law 99-570. See the legislative history as it is printed in the 1999 edition of the statute and attached here to Exhibit 4, which I don't have these exhibits, but I can't. The reason I don't have it is because I haven't been able to get the case. But this is excerpts of the case that are, and all you have to do is go to these sections and check it out. And it's right there. That as a result of the repeal of the savings provision of Public Law 98-473 by Section 1005A2 of Public Law 99-570, and by it not being reenacted by Congress, Westlaw has clearly printed that Title 21, United States Code, Section 841A1, that was to be saved by the savings provision and take effect on November the 1st, 1987, was never executed to the text of Section 841A1. And for this reason, Title 21, United States Code, Section 841A1 does not have the unlawful acts section of the statute as printed in the 2002 edition of Title 21, United States Code, Section 841, attached as Exhibit 5. The defendant has truthfully reported and shown that he has been unconstitutionally prosecuted and imprisoned in violation of due process of law by being prosecuted under a repealed statute.
Okay.
That says quite a bit. So if there is no unlawful act to the Federal Substance Abuse Act, I have the congressional reports, and if you think that you read last night was long and dry and hard to keep your mind wrapped around, those congressional readings from 1970, all the way to 1986, and that's under 100 statutes at large, 3207-6. Well, there's 5 other readings in different years, and this will show you exactly what they did. But after reading it's a wonder we have anything that works in this country. You have to be a magician to follow all this stuff. I mean, you have to be totally dedicated. So although we're deemed to know the law, with this kind of BS and bullshittery, how could you possibly know when the books they give you to study the law tell you a damn lie and swear to it, even though Congress repealed all this stuff, albeit by accident? But when they repealed that part about supervised release, I mean, that other stuff was right there too, and they didn't do it. So if you're charged with a crime for a drug, you have to wonder how that occurred if there is no wrongful act, because there has to be a wrongful act in order for the thing to be classified as a crime. Seems to me.
So effectively then, are they have repealed the law, and then Westlaw refuses to publish it in the law books to let anybody know what the actual laws are that have been repealed and put back, so that nobody can be charged with it. But this is how they get everybody confused, and nobody knows really what the hell's going on.
Well, they didn't repeal the law. The law's still in there. what they didn't address is the fact that Congress repealed the wrongful act clause section. They repealed the savings clause, that they were saving this part of the original bill to this bill. And while it was in this particular bill, another section of another bill came and canceled this section of this bill that had the savings clause of the original Substance Abuse Act that made it a crime, that made it a wrongful act. Well, when they did this sidestepping and this and that, they screwed themselves. And then they saw what they did, but they couldn't go. Well, I don't know why. I have no idea. The law is still there, but there is no wrongful act, and it's just one of those things. The law, you can't commit a crime unless you believe you committed a crime. And if they charge you criminally with substance abuse or a Schedule 1, that's a bad one, isn't it?
Yeah.
Is it?
That's what they say.
Yeah, but with this and the repeal of the wrongful act, it's merely a rate, a table, a schedule. It's like a railroad timetable, nothing more. What happens if the train is late? By God, the train's late. What are you going to do about it?
So if they repealed the wrongful act, then effectively there cannot be any charges.
Yeah.
Well, what the fuck is going on then?
Let everybody ask themselves that question and see what kind of answer they come up with. I'm not going to influence anything. I have my opinion, and you just heard it.
Okay. So
well, I mean, but you tie that in with all the rest of the information that you've been dishing out to these people. You're telling them that everything that they know to be true ain't so.
well, yeah, we all know everything is a lie. So
Yeah, but this is specific, and these things are the ones that cost you an awful lot of time. How many people have done 40 years or sentenced to 40 years, 50 years, life, when there's no wrongful act?
How do you ain't got no stylus? Damn. Okay. Oh wait, maybe I got some. Perfect.
Who's there, Jody?
No, I'm getting some water delivered. That's the best I can do for you, brother. Richardson. Yeah, go ahead, Jay.
I was done.
Oh, well then, I guess, well, now we know that how the judges have been screwing everybody on the due process. They don't even have a wrongful act that they can charge criminally on drug charges for people. Thank you, sir. All right. And so as we're investigating all this bullshit, come to find out that these people have an oath that they have swore to and they're lying about. Well, hell, they swore an oath to a foreign country, according to what was discovered yesterday on the reading. I read that a year ago. When I read it, I was blown away. But
well, they didn't swear an oath to a foreign country.
On their oath, it said their oath of affirmation. I thought they were swearing to a foreign country.
No. Okay. Same country. Well, not the same country. They are American nationals according to statutes of law, 15 stat section 249, where the day before the 14th Amendment was allegedly ratified in 1868, the Reconstruction era, Congress wisely set all of the people apart as American nationals, separate from the newly minted U.S. citizen 14th Amendment citizen. Okay?
Right.
The day before. The next day, the 14th Amendment was allegedly ratified, but you don't ratify an amendment at the point of a gun or a bayonet. That's not exactly a real freedom of choice. So consequently, the U.S. was created, the Inc., and then everybody was forced to swear allegiance to it. And this is all a crock of manure, because I've lost my train of thought. I'm stumbling around. I
Well,
got distracted.
no, it's these people swore an oath, but I thought it was to a
Oh,
foreign agent.
no, they swore an oath, so they stepped out of their American national grant
Immunity?
from Congress.
Okay.
They no longer under 15 Stat 249. They have willingly become 14th Amendment citizens because they swore the oath to the United States, Inc.
Okay, so they swore an oath to be a citizen then.
Yes, but they're still, when they did that, they became foreign to us. They're foreign agents of the U.S. government.
Oh, because
Inc.
we're American nationals.
Ah, yes.
There's the clarification.
Yeah, well, I knew it would happen sooner or later, but since it came up now, and you were stumbling last night on that, they're here now. Take the lawyers and take them another step. They have sworn an oath to all this to the United States, Inc. And then when they become lawyers, they swear another oath on top of that. And they're no longer United States, Inc. They're residents of the city of London, of the Middle Temple, the Middle Crown Temple. They're bar members. Their residence is in the city of London, not London, England either. They all have domiciles, or they're registered. Their registration is in the city of London, separate, just like DC is separate, just like the Vatican is separate. The 3 city states that remain empires.
Right. Now it makes sense.
Okay, I'm glad I could do that, because
Yeah.
I was getting a little confused too. But this stuff that I just read you from the federal code, you just, it's so convoluted, you just can't wrap your mind around it. And this is our Congress leading us into the future. Even though it's in the past, it shows they couldn't get their crap together back then, and they're much, much better at it now.
Much better at failure.
Well, your choice. If this is an example and they're much better at it now, well, if you just open up your window and walk outside, you can see if it's this jumbled today, it's unrecognizable. But we're trying to clean that up on account of it. We're confused.
Yeah, and isn't it there, if they make a law that's so confusing that that shouldn't even be a law anymore.
It can be a law, but what the confusing part is, if they don't have a wrongful act, you'll pardon the emphasis, how in the hell are these people going to prison for long ass stretches?
That's a good question. So there are things that everybody just needs to know more about and be aware of.
Like the dumbasses sitting on the juries that sent these people for long ass prison sentences. Each one of them should be tried and convicted, every jury member, for stupidity in action during their season as a public officer. Even though it's temporary, they're public officials. And that A fiduciary duty absolutely applies to them. Absolutely. And they're remiss. Actually, they're criminal. Their stupidity cost a man a lot of time, money, possessions, life, everything. Stature in the community, embarrassment, ridicule. Is that what we elect the government for? To be able to do that when there's no cause. They don't have a leg to stand on, except they got the guns.
Well, I agree, and my view of juries is pretty piss poor after seeing three of them in action. And now it's, why would anybody want to have a jury trial? Because basically the jury, y'all are stupid. Y'all don't know the law. We're having to show you what the damn law is. So how in the world could y'all be sitting up there making judgments? That's why it's best just to go ahead, pin it all on the judge. Don't take a jury trial. These people don't know nothing about the law, and they're being coerced by the judge and the prosecutor to give a one-sided opinion. So hang it all on the judge. Let him make the judicial determination of the facts of the law in the case. And when he fucks up, then you got somebody to go after. The jury gives plausible deniability to the judge. That's why you just don't do it.
That's absolutely right. Everybody seeks plausible deniability in public office. That's basically what corporations do. You get to commit crimes by committee, and then nobody gets the whole blame because, well, it was a committee. You know, there's no one individual that it's his fault. It's everybody's. Okay, the judge uses that. He gives the jury instructions to exactly how he wants that to come out. So they have the freedom to do that or face contempt of court, which is easy to beat, but it takes a little more skill than, boy, I'm pissed off, I'm going to fix them. It takes just a little bit more knowledge than that. Not much, but a little.
Well, it takes people willing to want to defend themselves, and that's the people we're reaching out to.
Yeah,
so,
the dope smokers. The dope smokers. Weed smokers. You son of a guns that smoke marijuana, I hope you rot in jail. But you weed smokers, thumbs up.
Yeah, more power to the plant. Everybody.
I'd just like to remind everybody, that plant was created by God. Whether you're religious or not, I don't care. But in the Bible, Genesis 1:29, he gave that to us for our food and medicine. He did. That's the law of the land. The corporation, they didn't create that plant. They created a name called marijuana, and you can't mess with it. And they got the right to do that. But that doesn't have any bearing on the plant. It just means they can regulate it, but they can't do anything about it. If it's growing, they best not do anything to it. It's not theirs. Anybody can sue them. Anybody. In West Virginia, they have fields and fields of mudweed, they call it, dirtweed, ditchweed. That's it, ditchweed. It is the remnant of the time before now when everybody in the South grew hemp because it was profitable. Back then, it was already a billion-dollar industry, and that's pre-1937. 1932, they had a deal in Popular Mechanics. The next revolution in agriculture was a weed harvesting and planting machine. High-speed harvesting and planting of immense fields of hemp, and now it's illegal.
Well, at least I remind everybody that George Washington made it mandatory everybody had to grow hemp on their property, and the Constitution was written on hemp paper.
Yeah,
so,
and Massachusetts Bay Colony, you know, the Pilgrims.
Yeah.
Extra tax if they did not grow a teaspoon of hemp. You took a teaspoon, filled that up, and you planted all the seeds that were in that teaspoon, and you were expected to produce because that was the textile industry.
I'll be damned. We need to go back to the teaspoon rule.
Well,
I support the teaspoon rule.
Nobody annulled it, superseded it, or anything else, so it's still in full force and effect. But now according to this, I read an article years ago that under this no wrongful act and the repeal, there used to be a deal about narcotic farms. Now, I just wonder what they mean by that. You farm narcotics? Well, what narcotics can you possibly farm? Well, let's see, mescaline, opium, indica. I guess you could grow ayahuasca too if you wanted, but those would be considered narcotic farms, right? Well, that was done away with too. So there's nothing against a narcotic farm. So the way I read that, you should be having 20-foot plants, 10, 15 feet wide, covering the front drive to your estate.
Wow. That'd be a sight to see. I know when I was out in California, I guess it's about 4 or 5 years ago now, you could walk out there. They were growing. I was in one grow where they had 100 plants. They were all over 15 foot tall, 12, 15 foot tall. The smell was the smell was wonderful. I love the smell personally. It smells like mint.
To me, I kind of like the old indica was called skunk for the reason you couldn't tell whether a skunk let go or you were standing next to a dope plant. You just couldn't tell. It's identical. So it's called skunk. And
I remember that.
Yeah. Well, that's the basis of all your fruity, minty, soup du jour brands of everything. It's based in indica, which is Afghani, which is indica. Skunk.
Yeah, that was some good stuff too.
No comment.
Yeah. Well, that was a pretty insightful conversation on weed.
Yeah, weed. You got it right. The weed talk.
Yep. This is Weed 101.
Yep.
And shoot, probably should have renamed it to Weed 101, but whatever. But
it'll get out. But for all you marijuana smokers, I hope you do a long stretch in prison for all the misery you're going to do. But you weed smokers, once again, thumbs up.
There you go. All right. Well, is there any other topic or subject you want to touch on before we let everybody go, or do you want to just end it on this?
I think I'm going to write an anti-ebook.
Anti-ebook?
Yeah, that's an inside joke.
Yeah.
I'm not, but.
Oh, all right. Well, I tell you what, everybody, I hope you get some information out of this. The case law was cited in there. It's a dry read if you ever decide to read it, but it is there for your reference. And this video is to help let you know where your rights are and how to assert them. So stop being a defendant and defending your rights being the loser. Start being the plaintiff and asserting your rights and start winning. Because go ahead.
Something just came to mind. I'm sorry to interrupt you. You were on such a beautiful rant. But or maybe that's a rave. I don't know. I was involved in a case in Dallas. Well, I wasn't involved in it. I was just a private legal researcher. So consequently, when this fellow wrote his counterclaim to the Dallas drug court, he explained to them that little move that I specifically ordered weed because it's cannabis indica and it's not into code and it's legal, and therefore he wanted his 2 pounds of weed back or $7,500 per pound in his counterclaim. Right there in the court, in your face, kiss my patootie.
Right.
Well, he didn't get it because why? There was nothing left.
The cops done stole it and sold it.
Shit, they smoked it.
If that, yeah, either or.
Yeah, so he never did get it back, but he did kick their butts. He thought, gee, I'll beat a drug charge. I said, one of many.
One of many. It's just that, it's just how y'all put it together, and everything goes to the beginning. If you start from the very beginning on these cases, did they have the authority to even stop me? And once you start from that point, that's where you become the plaintiff,
Well,
not the defendant no more.
a friend of mine sold a kilo of coke to the DPS here in Texas a long time ago, 1989. When was the wrongful act repealed? 1986?
Yeah.
1989, he was arrested under this. And, well, under Texas statute, he violated the health and safety code. Let me tell you, this fella didn't speak much English, and he spoke Spanish, but it was kind of neighborhood Spanish, all slang mostly. So I had to learn all this stuff and then translate it into Spanish and relay it to him and keep on until he understood it. Well, this was a long time after he had received his 40-year prison sentence. He was out on parole, but he was out. And he came to me and asked me if I could help. And I told him, I talked to him. Well, if there's any way, if I can find a way, consider it done. It took me 13 years to find a way. I wrote him a Title 42 because, well, English is not his first or second language, and his Spanish, although he can't read and write either. So, but that doesn't deter him from the ability to claim a due process violation, because he was violated. This is where I wanted all this stuff. This information was from my friend's case. So when I had all this, I wrote Title 42, and well, the state of Texas, this is in the 23rd year of a 40-year prison sentence. The Texas, what is it? Texas Department of Criminal Justice, yeah, wrote him a letter and told him no longer to come to parole meetings, not to pay them any money, to just please go away. This was over. And finally, after all those years, and he told me he wanted to die a free man. He didn't do, they did something wrong. They did something, he knew that, but he didn't know what. So we hunted. This is what I found for that case. Unfortunately, he got his wish. He wanted to die a free man, and 6-8 weeks after Texas let him go, he died of a brain aneurysm. So, but he did die a free man, and that was his ultimate wish. He was suing them for the 40 years. And back then, when I did the calculations, it wasn't as high as it is now. But it came out to $51,900,000,000 that the state of Texas owed him for putting him in prison unlawfully and violating due process by prosecuting him under repealed statutes. So if the federal statutes don't exist, the state has nothing to base it on. So it's a nullity. And then what we know about the judges, it's void judgment ab initio, which means from the get-go. We're dealing with bullshit. And if you'll believe them, they will bullshit you right out of your life. All we ask is you pay attention, understand that it ain't what they said it was, and you can stop the proceeding by showing them where they violated due process, and the crimes they committed are against 18 USC 242 and 243. They're doing it under color of state law, and it's a conspiracy to deprive you of a right. There's more than one doing it. You got a prosecutor, you got a cop, you got a judge, you got a city council waiting to spend the money you're going to make them. You got a city manager telling the cops, we need more of these, we need more money. We can't raise the taxes anymore right now, so raise them secretly by making them pay fines and doing jail time and adding to our coffers. It's a big ass slush fund, and you're the slushy. Okay. Did you want to finish what you were doing?
So, well, no, that was kind of hard to follow up on. You're a slushy. I mean,
yeah, I mean that's the legal term. Yeah, look it up in Black's Law, slushy. While you at it, for you people that are subject to piss tests and you want to study for them, here's a key. You're being charged with marijuana. What they find in the piss is a substance called cannabinoids. If you look in Black's Law, you will find no definition for cannabinoids. If you look in Funk and Wagnall, there's a definition for cannabinoids. But lately, your body has a cannabinol system, an endocannabinol system. Your body produces cannabinoids naturally. If you have some in your urine, well, you have cannabinoids in there. But they don't charge you with cannabinoids. They can't, because it's not a legal term. So they charge you with marijuana. Now, if you take a urine sample and you were to let go of bush, which is marijuana, it's a plant, and their charge is that you put a plant in that little bitty cup. Let me tell you, whether male or female, you piss a bush, you're going to know about it. Believe me, you're going to know about it. So consequently, they find cannabinoids in your system, which is a natural body product. You have violated the terms of your probation. Back in you go. You get more time, more school, and extend the probation. You're hooked into their system forever. And they'll constantly be able to get you on something. More money, more education, more work, more bullshit. And none of this is lawful. None of it. You want to turn this off before I go completely ballistic?
No, we're going to save some for another day. So y'all be sure and smash the like button. And you want to say goodbye, because we're getting out of here.
Bye, folks. Thanks.
All right. Snafu out.
Hey, Charlotte County. This is Charlotte County Cop Watch, and I wanted to explain what fair use is. You can use pieces of your news articles if you're doing it for news reporting, you have commentary, and you're doing it for education purposes. So that's what fair use is, as you can see right here. Another reason why I wanted to make this video is to let you know I have just joined with Patreon. A nice thing with Patreon, I make no money on YouTube. They took the money away years ago, and so this is another way to give, and it's a nice thing too, because you can give monthly. You can give $1, $5, $10, whatever. I do 4 to 5 hours a day on trying to wake the sheep up on how corrupt it is and different ways that you can fight the corruption. So Patreon is a way that you can do it, and then of course the old way is still there. Donate to Sheriff County Cop Watch with PayPal or credit card. So keep that in mind. 4 to 5 hours a day. I make no money, but the corruption happened to me, and I'm sick of it, so I'm trying to wake people up. But my wife would love it if if we could get some help out there. There's 47,000 subscribers. Just think if each one of you subscribers just gave a let's say actually, yes, $1 a month. 47,000 subscribers gave $1 a month. That would be awesome. That's not going to happen. But anyways, that would be great if it did happen. But you know, do the math in your head. Just think about it. Like I said, 4 to 5 hours a day. I get no money from YouTube. YouTube has gone nuts. You can't do anything anymore. They're taking the money away everywhere. So these are a couple different ways that you can still help out with all this time that I put in. And as you know, I'm in a special situation where, you know, at least I can do it. You know, 4 to 5 hours a day. We have a cleaning company during the day. That's what allows me to do this, and we're debt free. So this is my hobby. I don't go fishing and all that other crap. I try to save the world. So help me out to make the wife happy, man. In fact, if you guys did give $1 a day, and there was 47,000 of you, and you did it, and each of you gave $1, and that was every month, oh my God, yes, I could quit. I could start suing them. Another idea too that we have is, you know, if I got, you know, some funds, we could actually contact everyone that has been ticketed and or arrested and put in jail and start sending them postcards to let them know we're here, and to see if everything went all right, and if it didn't, find out their story. So we could even do more investigations and more lawsuits. Lawsuits take money. So just think about that. You know, 47,000 of you so far right now. You know, $1 a day. I mean, $1 a month on Patreon, or $5 a month Patreon, 10, 20, whatever. Just do the math in your head. Help out. This is a lot of work every single day. Thanks.